Okay, I think we are live. I haven't done this in a while, but hello everyone, Happy New Year. Hope everyone is doing well. If you're watching on the replay, hello, Happy New Year. Let me know that you're watching on the replay in the comment section as well. Hello, hello, hello. Hopefully you can hear me. Should be able to hear me, but anyhow, let's get right into it. So I want to get back to going live. I'm still trying to figure out the date per se. Today's Wednesday. Generally in the past I did Thursdays. We may still continue with that. I just have to see what my schedule looks like, and I want to be consistent in the date and the time. So I figure I do plan on coming on again possibly tomorrow, but I wanted to just hop on before we got too further in the week, just to come on and say hello. And I know I have a few new connections here on Facebook, so I wanted to also quickly introduce myself. So if you are seeing this or we've recently connected here on Facebook but you don't know who I am, let me quickly introduce myself. So my name is Krista Jennings, and I teach and train companies how to leverage a sales funnel. So from looking at the strategy that's behind their marketing that will allow for them to be able to consistently create a connection with people who will ultimately become paying clients and customers for their business, but also not for these people just to become paying clients and customers for their business once, but thinking about the continuity and having repeat clients and customers, and really creating an ecosystem and a framework that will allow for that to happen. So we're in a new year now, and a lot of people are getting back into the swing of things, and there has been some changes in the last, I would say, 18 to 24 months as it pertains to sales funnels, and I figure I would just come on and just share a few of those things with you, and just as you are thinking about the marketing of your business and really putting into perspective what's important to you, I figure I would hopefully, let me make sure you can hear. Yes, okay, so you can hear me. So okay, it's working. But so with that being said, I wanted to share a few things. So if you still have your funnel from like 2020, 2021, 2023, and you're finding that you're not getting the result, or you're just not getting the engagement that you hoped that you would, it's fair. One of the things that needs to happen is for you to really look at how the buyer journey has changed, right? So no longer do we need like 7 to 10 nurturing emails, right? Because people generally, if they've come across your content, they've engaged with your content a number of times, and they've taken that step to opt into whatever free resource that you have to offer, they know that you're selling something, right? So it's not a matter of like, okay, let me try to soften the blow or try to not come off salesy or anything like that, which is a concern that people have, and you should never worry about being salesy really in your business or feeling like you're being pushy, because for the mere fact that you have something that is valuable and something that's actually going to solve a problem that someone has, so you have a solution to a problem that they have. With that being said, like if you strongly believe in your solution, that your solution is amazing, then you're not trying to convince anyone of anything. And your job is never to convince anyone of anything. Your job is ultimately to provide an option, right, that will work for them. And of course, you need to be able to master the ability. You need to be able to master the ability to share how your solution is ideal for them, right? So it's very unlikely that you're the only one in your industry, right? There's other people who are in your industry providing similar services. So you just have to be able to master the ability to communicate clearly that what you have to offer is going to work for them, and show them as well, right? So people want less telling and they want more showing. So they want you to show them things. They want to see something a little bit more tangible, right? And I think for a lot of people who are providing a service, they're thinking, okay, how do I show, right? Showing can come up in a different forms. It could be through education, it could be through like a training, it could be showing them the steps, right? So meeting people exactly where it is that they are, and then taking them down that pathway for them to be able to ultimately get that solution that they're looking for, right? So if you're thinking, okay, all right, I need to refine my sales funnel, then definitely reach out to me, right? I do have some spots available for anyone who wants to optimize their sales funnel, or they're looking to build their sales funnel, or to even just restructure it, right? So sometimes it may mean that like what you have is working, but it's not working quite well. And ultimately what you need is an audit. So for me to go in and see what's happening, looking at the different touch points, and then providing you with the necessary next steps to ensure that you're not, one, leaving money on the table, but you're constantly engaging with people in a way that makes sense for those people, right? Because like I was saying, you don't need a long sequence of emails. You don't need 7 to 10 emails to get people to be, hi Jerry, hello. As you guys come on in as well, say hello so that I can acknowledge you and say hello to you. Happy New Year, good to see you. So like I was saying, you don't need a long sequence of emails, right? You just need to ensure that what it is that you're building is embedded in building trust, right? So people are asked, so if I had a question, the latter part, the middle of December, someone was like, okay, well, what's the ideal number of emails to have in your email sequence? And here's the thing. This brings me to point number 2, that not all customers are created equally, right? So based off of where they find you, what kind of content that they're engaging with, that will relay what kind of touch points you're going to have and how many emails you're going to create. And to be honest, like the number of emails don't really matter as much, and it really boils down to ultimately where you're leading them, right? And the better you get at communicating with them and better you get at understanding the customer journey and taking them through multiple touch points, that will decide and dictate how many emails you're going to have in your email sequence. So it's not a matter of like you need to have 3 to 5. It really boils down to how well you've been able to understand your customers and take them down that pathway to something that they ultimately want, right? So like I was saying, not all customers or clients are created equally, right? So they're every client or customer is going to fall in in either one of these 3 categories. So either that they're informed, they're afflicted, or they're oblivious, right? So naturally, if they're informed, right, it's easier to sell them, right? It's easier to help them, right? And when I say sell, I don't mean this from a place of like being pushy or anything like that. When I say sell, I think of selling as, and something that you should look at as well, I think of selling as helping people, right? So ultimately, someone who is informed, they require different bits of information to make an informed buying decision, right? So someone who's informed, they may just need a comparison, right? A comparison, a breakdown of features and benefits, and a price breakdown, right? That could be something that someone who's informed is looking for, because they understand the challenge that they're experiencing. They also understand that it's going to require a number of steps, and they generally understand that, okay, there's an investment attached to this and a time commitment. On the other hand, someone who is afflicted, right? This person understands that there's something wrong. They know that how I like to put this is that someone who's afflicted is symptom aware, right? So they know that there's this problem. They don't really have the language per se to relay the problem, but they have enough language to relay the symptom, right? And because they have the language to relay the symptom, you need to start with that, right? And when you start with that, then you're putting yourself in a better position to be able to nurture a relationship with that person that's embedded in, that's built on trust. And because it's built on trust, it requires you to communicate in a way that makes sense to that person, right? So you're ultimately meeting them where it is that they are along on their buying journey. On the other hand, so like I mentioned, there's 3 types of ideal clients or customers you'll ever have. So we talked about the informed, we've spoken about the afflicted, and then there's a person who's oblivious. The person who's oblivious, they have some inclination that there's something off, something wrong. They don't have the full vocabulary, right? So like the person who's afflicted has the vocabulary and the language to relay the symptom. The person who is oblivious, they are just navigating things and like, okay, I'm just navigating life with this thing. I'm not entirely sure what it is, or they don't know how to communicate the problem. They have some ideas around, they have some awareness around the symptoms, and they are thinking, okay, maybe I should look up these symptoms, right? So they have some language, right? They don't have as polished or as much language as someone who is afflicted, right? The person who is oblivious. So based off of that, right, you're going to be creating content and information and sequence of emails that are going to be reflective of that. So it's not a matter about, going back to my first point, that you need to have 7 to 10 emails. I mean, you might need to have 7 to 10 emails. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, because I don't know your business. I don't know what kind of language you have. I don't know how strong your message to market fit is. You know, there's a few other things to take into consideration when it comes on to that. So, like I said, not all customers are created equally, right? So because not all customers are created equally, you need to ensure that you're putting yourself in the position to clearly communicate what it is that you have to offer and how it's going to help them, right? And based off of who they are, that's the kind of language that is going to be reflective of that. So even I think about myself as well. Hey, Paul, hello. I think about myself as well. Recently, well, I'm in the process of switching over my hosting services. So I had the same hosting company I've been in business now for, next month will be 12 years. So I've had this hosting services from the beginning. So almost 12 years. Well, now I don't have them anymore, but I've had this same hosting company, and time over again, I would always think to myself, I'm sure there's a better option. I'm sure there's something that's more flexible. There's something more cost efficient, you know, all the things, right? And I just didn't really prioritize switching and doing some research to figure out what was happening. So this weekend I was like, okay, you know what? I need to get on this before I have to pay another renewal, and then I'd be stuck another year with this company. So I doing some research, some light research, and there was a company that I had done some work with before, and I've gotten services from them as well. And I remembered them, and I was like, let me go on their website and see what they have to offer. But there wasn't quite, I wasn't in a mood to like go and search and everything like that. So I picked up the phone and I called them. Spoke to them, and they were able to give me something that, like a package that was exactly what I needed. Way below what I wanted to spend as well. So I was like, good, let's go. Sign up right away, right? So because I'm in it, so in that sense, I would be an informed customer, right? So, and a lot of times people think that they should only sell, or they should only promote, or they should only market to people who are informed. And if you do that, and if you have that premise and you live on that principle, then you're actually leaving a lot of money on the table, because the biggest segment of the market that's underserved is the people who are oblivious, because people think that, I can't be bothered, you know, they'll come when they're ready, right? And it's like, no, like, you're here to serve people. You're here to help people get a solution that they want, right? So don't underestimate the people who are oblivious, because those people also too do need what it is that you have to offer, right? So think about so that brings me to point number 3. Think about the decision touch points that are going to happen in your funnel. And if you're thinking like, oh gosh, Krista, I don't have a funnel, or I want to build a funnel, but I'm not sure where to start, like, definitely reach out to me and let me know. But ultimately, think of your funnel as a series of steps that's going to get someone more committed to a decision that's going to be good for them, right? And in exchange, you're gonna make money, right? So it's giving I strongly believe if you give a lot of people and give more and more people something that's truly valuable to them, you in exchange will get what it is that you want or desire or need, right? And for us, when we're in business, it's money. So you're giving someone something, a product or a service, in exchange for money. So your funnel needs to have decision support touch points, and that ultimately means that at different levels, or with different levels of awareness, certain people are going to move at different speeds, right? So having a one-size-fits-all funnel is actually going to be your biggest disservice. So one of the things that I'm committed to helping as many people as I possibly can, and the right people, of course, is to ensure that they have a funnel that speaks to the informed person, the afflicted, and the oblivious, right? So the informed person, like I said earlier, they may just need a comparison chart, right? With a comparison of what it is that they have right now, where it is that you know, if they invest in your service or your product, what they will achieve, right? If someone's an afflicted buyer, they need to understand their pain point and a clear path moving forward, right? So ultimately, with these decision support touch points, you're meeting people exactly where it is that they are, and you're not just throwing a whole bunch of content and information at people and overwhelming them. And then the person who's oblivious, the oblivious buyer, they need education first, right? So you need to help them with seeing the problem before you present the solution, right? So education first content is going to be really good for the person who's oblivious, because they need to see the problem, understand the problem, and then they're more likely to be in tune with a solution and ultimately the solution that you have to offer, right? So they're all making decisions in their minds, right? So you need to ensure that you're asking the right questions and you're leading with the right information that's going to get them ultimately to be invested in a solution that will work for them. So I wanted to come on and share that with you and just get you to really think about your funnel and how it is that you're structuring your funnel for 2026, right? So like how we did things 3, 4, 5 years ago it's just not going to cut it anymore, right? We need to be more intentional. We need to be more specific with the type of language and have like a funnel and segments and automation that's specific to people based off of where it is that they are on their buying journey. Because right, remember how I said not all customers are created equally. And with that being said, that's how you need to look at your funnel. That's how you need to understand how to market and how to market it in a very effective way, right? So just not throwing a whole bunch of information out there and hoping that it's going to stick. If it's meeting people exactly where it is that they are and taking them on the pathway that's going to move them forward and ultimately to a solution that they need and desire, right? So hopefully this was helpful. I know it was helpful. So if you have any questions, like I mentioned, leave them down below. But I do have a training coming up next Thursday, a live training. It won't be here on Facebook. It will be on another platform. You do need to sign up for this particular training. So I'm going to, at the end of this live, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to sign up for this particular training. We're going to be talking about AI in your sales funnel. We're going to be talking about the strategy you need to have in your sales funnel for 2026 and some practical tools that you can use to start to restructure your sales funnel, to really have an audit, you know, even do an internal audit of your sales funnel and your internal audit of your marketing and see what direction it is that you're moving towards. So if this is something that you're interested in, definitely check out the link below. I will put the link in the comments and you can go ahead and check it out. And if you're interested, then definitely go ahead and secure your spot. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.